Hi friends, I am Manmat Krishna. You are watching Manmat Krishna Food Tech channel. Today's our topic is chemical hazards in food, part 5. Those who have not watched my previous videos, I have given the link below. Please watch those videos. This part 5 we will discuss about the antimicrobial agents which are used in food industry. Mostly these antimicrobial agents which are used during the farming. Let us discuss about what are those. So this part 5 exclusively I am discussing on the uses of antimicrobial agents or the drugs in aquaculture industry. Start. Yeah. Antibiotics. So what is antibiotics? Anti, against, biotic, pertaining to living things. So its against life is called antibiotics. The antibiotics are derived from the biological origin, which is derived from the biological origin. Most of the antibiotics derived from the Streptomyces species. The penicillin you all might be knowing, which was discovered by Alexander Fleming. Since then, antibiotics started producing the antibiotics which became the control for many pathogens effectively controlling nowadays the antibiotics. So the antibiotics are antagonistic to the organisms in a small portion, which are highly antagonistic. Nature of action, what are the kinds of antibiotics which were available and extensively used in food industry are something humans or animals to recover from the diseases. Let us discuss what are the antibiotics which are used to treat the humans, animals across the globe. The antibiotics are 4 kinds of antibiotics are there, different upon their mechanism. The one is bactericidal. These kind of antibiotics were used to kill the microbes. And the second one is bacteriostatic. These kinds of antibiotics will stop the reproduction of the organisms. And the third one is synergetic type. These kinds of antibiotics are added with some compounds, chemical compounds, to get more potential control on the harmful bacteria. Like when we add the penicillin with aminoglycosides, which is more potential to control the pathogenic bacteria. And antagonistic type. For example, antagonistic means whenever you combine the 2 kinds of drugs, then the activity, the potentiality will decrease. So that's why we should not mix these 2 drugs to kill the pathogens. For example, penicillin and tetracycline group, we should not mix together. The potentiality of controlling the bacteria will retards. So individually we have to use these kinds of chemicals. So these are the antibiotics. Depends upon the mechanism of killing these kinds of there. Let us discuss about the functions of antibiotics. Depends upon the killing mechanism. The antibiotics, different kinds of antibiotics are used to kill the different kinds of pathogenic organisms. For example, inhibition of cell wall synthesis. The antibiotics like penicillin. So penicillin acts as a inhibitor for cell wall synthesis of microorganisms. So once the penicillin will inhibit the cell wall synthesis of the microorganisms, then the doubling mechanism will stop. Such a way it will control the proliferation. And the second kind of antibiotics which will inhibit the nucleic acid synthesis. Nucleic acids are required to double the cells, to doubling the microbial growth. So the antibiotics like fluoroquinolines will inhibit the nucleic acid synthesis. In such a way, we can control the certain kinds of harmful bacteria. Then the third category of antibiotics are sulfonamides, which are used to prohibit the synthesis of folic acids. Folic acids also required to double the bacterial cells. And the last one is the protein synthesis, inhibition of protein synthesis. Chloramphenicol is the best example. Chloramphenicol is used to prevent inhibition of protein synthesis. But globally, the uses of chloramphenicol have been banned for internal use. The chloramphenicol can be used as skin diseases, ear infections, and some other infections like eye infections, not used in internal purpose because the chloramphenicol is highly carcinogenic. So that is why chloramphenicol is used as a skin infecting agent, or some ear infections also chloramphenicol can be used, which is extensive, which is actively control the protein synthesis, which will prohibit the protein synthesis. In such a way, we will recover.
Start.
Okay. The food processing industries keep an eye on the farmers. We have to educate the farmers. The dire consequences of usage of the prohibited drugs, the reputation of country also will go down. We have to educate our farmers. As a food professionals, we have to keep on visit the farms unannounced. We have to visit the farms. Either the farmer is using the chemicals which are approved by the government or approved by the FDA. We have to make sure that whether they have the knowledge of the withdrawal time of the drugs. If the farmer is using any approved drugs, any approved chemical, what is the withdrawal time? Is he competent about that? Do they have the record of the chemicals rotation and chemical usage record? Are they following proper withdrawal period or not? You have to collect the samples randomly. You have to examine in your laboratory. We have to make them awareness. We have to, most of the drugs will cause adverse effects on human beings, carcinogenic, cancer causative agents. There are some prohibited drugs. People might be knowing that chloramphenicol and nitrofuranate metabolites, which are highly carcinogenic. Developed countries completely banned those drugs. And countries like India also completely banned those drugs. Uses in any industries, humans or animals for food and feed, we should not use those kind of things. So why? Because these are the chemicals which causes adverse effects. And we have to control the AMR, antimicrobial resistance. If you identify certain diseases, certain pathogens or infections from the shrimps, based on the technical advices by the government or the field officers or the EMPEDA or some others, you take the advices from the technicals and use accordingly. Mostly the farmers are using antimicrobial agents during farming, especially the aquaculture industry. So antimicrobial agents like fungicides, herbicides, parasitics controlling purpose, bacterial controlling purpose, different drugs we're using. But the drugs which are approved by the government only can be used in the industries, aquaculture industries. The prohibited drugs should not be used at any circumstances in the aquaculture, in shrimp culture industry especially, because of the government also has banned. As a food professional, what we have to do is, we have to visit the farms, we have to educate the farmers at frequent times, and we have to assess them whether they are having the competent knowledge on the uses of drugs and whether they have the competent knowledge on the prohibited drugs or not. If they are using the approved drugs, we have to make sure that whether they are following the drug withdrawal period. If the farmer has not followed the drug withdrawal period, then the adverse effect will be there. They should follow the withdrawal period and they should follow the guidelines for adding the chemicals along with the feed or pond disinfection. What are the ways? They should have the knowledge. We have to keep on visit the farms, we have to educate the farmers, and we can test in our in-house lab. If we get any screening positive, then we have to send to the external lab for confirmation. We have to make aware the farmers for the adverse effects of those prohibited drugs we should not use at any circumstances. And whenever, if they wanted to use any kind of drugs under the guidance of technical advisories, like MPRI is working on that, NACSA is working on that, and many government agencies, state fisheries also there, with their advisors, with their advisories, the farmer can use the relevant drug for the relevant things which are approved by the governments. Otherwise, the country reputation will go down. We have to educate the farmers and we have to visit the farms at frequent time and we have to assess the chemical hazards in food. Part 5 completed. The chemical hazards in food, intentionally added chemicals chapter is completed. In my next video, we will do the physical hazards. We will do the video on physical hazards in food. Thank you guys. If you like my video, please subscribe my video and share it to your friends and community. For more updates, please subscribe.